If you dream of exploring storybook castles, strolling through medieval villages, tasting world-famous cheese and chocolate, riding to the mountaintops with views of the Alps, or sipping wine in sun-soaked vineyards, then you need to visit Montreux and the Swiss Riviera on your next trip to Switzerland.
But before you can enjoy all of that, you'll need to make sure you don't overlook the key components that could make or break your trip to this area. For example, how many days should I spend here? Where is the most central location to stay in this area? Do I need a car, or is there a train pass for this region? What are the can't-miss experiences? And how do I connect Montreux with other destinations on my Swiss vacation?
Today we're answering your biggest questions so you can spend less time stressing and more time enjoying this stunning slice of Switzerland.
The Swiss Riviera stretches from Lausanne to Montreux, including Vevey, Villeneuve, and the Lavaux vineyards. It's iconic for its Mediterranean feel of brightly colored houses, adorable villages, sprawling vineyards, sun-kissed hills, and lakeside promenades. Loads of famous people have been charmed by the beauty here. Charlie Chaplin lived in Vevey, Freddie Mercury lived and worked in Montreux, and Audrey Hepburn also had a house near Lausanne. But what makes the Swiss Riviera even more special is the lake it sits on. Lake Geneva is the largest lake in Switzerland and technically is shared by Switzerland and France. It's shaped like a crescent moon, measuring 45 miles long and nearly 9 miles wide and as deep as 1,000 feet. For context, it takes around 3 hours to drive around the entire lake, and it's deeper than 100 Olympic-sized swimming pools. The real name of Lake Geneva is actually Lac Le Mans, but it has a different name in German, Italian, and English. In this video, we'll be calling it Lake Geneva because we don't speak French. In fact, please excuse our French pronunciation going forward.
You're what the French call les incompétents.
We'll try our best, but our brains only function in English, Italian, and German, and the latter two are serviceable at best.
So what's the best way to reach this fairy tale region of Switzerland? If you're flying from abroad or from anywhere in Europe, Geneva is the closest airport. From the airport on the west side of the lake, it's about a 50-minute direct train to Lausanne or an hour and 15-minute direct train to Montreux. But you can also easily get to Montreux by train from other Swiss destinations as well. You'll need as little as 3 hours from Lucerne, 2 hours and 15 minutes from Interlaken, and 2 hours and 45 minutes from Zurich, Basel, or Zermatt. And by car, these times are a bit shorter. If we haven't met, we're Janet and Brett Aplins in the Alps, and we've been helping you travel Switzerland with confidence since 2021 through our YouTube videos and Swiss travel guides. Now we live near Interlaken, and if your itinerary includes a stop there, we highly recommend riding the Golden Pass scenic train. It's a beautiful 3 hour and 15-minute journey between Interlaken and Montreux. And besides the obvious panoramic views and splurge-worthy prestige class, the Golden Pass Express is the first train in the world to change from metric to standard gauge widths while also raising the carriages. If you're not sure what that means or why it's cool, we explain more in this video, including 2 other swanky train experiences we think you'll enjoy along this route. Once you arrive in Montreux, you're on the far eastern side of the lake, and in our opinion, this is the prettiest side of the lake. If you're coming by car, it's best to book a hotel or Airbnb that includes parking. You can park throughout the city in the blue and white zones for about 4 francs an hour, or in a parking garage for anywhere from 10 to 50 francs depending on the location. In general though, we recommend that you take public transportation. It's just easier and more convenient, and we'll explain more about that later when we talk about transportation and guest cards. If you arrive by train, it's just a 5-minute downhill walk from the station to the lake promenade and boat dock.
Before we go any further, it's ultra important to mention that the Swiss Riviera is hilly. That means the further you go from the lake, the hillier it gets. And Google Maps or Apple Maps won't always show you this important detail. For example, the 5-minute walk from the train station to the boat dock has an elevation difference of 60 feet. That's like climbing up or down a 6-story building in just a few minutes. And these 2 train stations look next door to each other, right? But what the map doesn't show is that the 300-meter walk between them covers more than 100 feet of elevation change. So pay attention to lakeside proximity when booking your lodging, because getting sweaty hauling your luggage up a steep hill is not a fun welcome to the Swiss Riviera. but thankfully there are some stairs and elevators throughout Montreux, but it's still no fun with your baggage.
So what can you do while you're here? Well, there are endless possibilities, but here are just a few of the highlights. Explore the fairy tale Chateau de Chillon set right on Lake Geneva and the hidden Fort de Chillon in the mountain right beside the castle. Enjoy hours of fun and games in the Olympic Museum or the Swiss Game Museum. Hop on board the Lavaux Express for a scenic ride and wine tasting in the vineyards. Cruise along Lake Geneva on a boat ride, or ride a cogwheel train up to Rochers-de-Naye. Relax on the Golden Pass Express panorama train all the way to Interlaken. Sample authentic Swiss chocolate at the Caillé Chocolate Factory, or do a cheese tasting at the Gruyere Cheese Factory. Spend time with Charlie Chaplin at Chaplin's World Museum, or with Freddie Mercury at the Queen Experience Museum. By the way, if you're coming with at least one other adult and plan to do just a few of the things I just mentioned, then you'll definitely want to buy the Swiss Coupon Pass before your trip. This digital book has more than 100 buy one, get one free discounts in Switzerland, including 9 that we have specifically mentioned in this video, worth up to a combined 320 francs. We know Switzerland can be expensive, but it doesn't have to be. We have personally used the Swiss Coupon Pass on our last trip here, and we were blown away by how much money it saved us.
Okay, how in the world do you craft all of those ideas into a realistic itinerary? First, we'd recommend staying at least 3 days in this area. That gives you a great balance of exploring the towns, vineyards, mountains, and the lake while leaving space for a day trip nearby. In fact, we spent months creating our Montreux and Swiss Riviera travel guide. If we were coming here for the first time, this is exactly what we would do. Or if we were sitting down over a cup of coffee to help you plan your trip, this is exactly what we would recommend. It has detailed step-by-step itineraries, transportation tips, food recommendations, day trip ideas, and more. So if you want to skip the research and just show up ready to enjoy Montreux, buy it today and save yourself hours of planning.
Speaking of planning, you're going to need somewhere to stay, and Montreux is just the most central place to stay in the Swiss Riviera because it's so convenient for pretty much everything you're going to want to do during your trip. Chateau de Chillon is in the village of Vevey, less than 5 minutes by train. Vevey is another town worth visiting, and it lies to the west just 5 to 10 minutes by train. Lausanne, as we mentioned earlier, is another 15 minutes past Vevey. And in between Lausanne and Vevey is Lavaux, a stunning UNESCO World Heritage region with terraced vineyards and storybook villages. Unfortunately, staying in Montreux is expensive, but thankfully there are lots of little towns dotting along the lake connected by a regional train line, so you can stay in one of those to save money without sacrificing too much convenience. Personally, our preferred place to stay and the spot we recommend as an alternative to Montreux is Vevey. It's a little smaller, less hilly, and filled with plenty of restaurants, cafes, and even sightseeing opportunities to keep you busy for a few days. Another village to consider is Villeneuve, one stop past Chateau de Chillon. It's much smaller and has fewer amenities, but it might be the best option if you're traveling on a budget.
No matter where you stay between Vevey and Villeneuve, overnight guests will receive a complimentary Montreux Riviera card. This is a guest card entitling you to free travel between Montreux and those 2 towns, and throughout the zones shown on this map. That means you won't think you're saving money booking lodging in a small town just to spend even more money on transportation, because you can travel for free with this card. And the Riviera card has additional benefits too, like free travel on a handful of local funiculars and a variety of discounted attractions such as boat rides. If you happen to be staying in Lausanne, there's a separate guest card for that city with similar benefits too. Just beware that the free local transportation in Lausanne is for a different area than offered by the Riviera card.
If you're like us, you start to look for lodging and then you're so overwhelmed by the hundreds of options. I mean, really, how are we supposed to narrow them all down? And that is one of the reasons why we love HotelCard. They partner with 3, 4, and 5-star hotels throughout Switzerland and offer discounted rates to members. And it's not unusual to save more than enough money on one night to pay for the whole price of the annual membership. And you can even search for availability before you purchase the card to see if it fits with your itinerary. We've personally used HotelCard to book stays in Montreux, Vevey, and Villeneuve. Our room and terrace at the hotel in Montreux were directly on the promenade with stunning lakefront views. The hotel in Vevey had an amazing rooftop hot tub, and we also had waterfront views from our room in Villeneuve. Unfortunately, HotelCard is not available to residents of all countries. But if you're looking for another option, especially if you value simplicity, then you could consider booking a holiday package through the Switzerland Travel Center. Their packages bundle hotel and train travel into a single purchase, allowing you to snag your nightly lodging, train pass, and even scenic train tickets with seat reservations in a single transaction. Now, we know a lot of you are probably just going to book with Airbnb or VRBO, which is great, but remember what we said earlier, this place is very hilly, so the farther you go from the lake, the more uphill you are. So if you end up booking farther away, make sure your lodging is near a train stop or a bus stop with convenient connections both to Montreux or Vevey. I particularly remember this time we stayed in an Airbnb on a vineyard in Lavaux. It had stunning views from the giant terrace and was just a short walk from the train station. But we fully accepted that it was a hike down the hill.
Since this is the Swiss Riviera, you're probably hoping to experience that mild Mediterranean climate. And you're in luck with plenty of sunshine and moderate temperatures throughout the year. While the winter can certainly be chilly, spring and fall can be really pleasant. But just be prepared that it could be quite hot in the summer, and don't forget your sunscreen. So if you're coming in July or August, like for the Montreux Jazz Festival, we'd pack for 75 degrees and sunny, but bring options for 90 degrees and even 60 degrees. And if you'll be visiting during Christmas market season, expect a chilly and breezy 40 degrees. As always, Meteo Swiss has the most accurate weather info. And like most places in Switzerland, you can always check the webcams before you visit to see a live view of the skies. And if you need more help packing, you can download our free Switzerland packing list for all 4 seasons, which we've linked for you in the description below.
Another question you might be wondering is how to get around this area. Of course, you can drive to many places, but we find that public transportation is just easiest. There are trains and buses and even funiculars and boats that reach all of the tourist destinations. And if you're familiar with our other videos, then you've heard us talk about train passes. And in general, when you're coming to Switzerland, not buying a train pass is like throwing your money in the garbage. So most of you will benefit from having the Swiss half fare card and the free Montreux Riviera card here, especially if sticking to a budget is a priority for you. The Swiss half fare card provides a 50% discount on nearly every ride in this region and throughout the entire country. But if you value convenience and have already decided that the Swiss Travel Pass is best for your itinerary, then you can enjoy that here as well. It functions as your ticket on nearly every public transport journey you're likely to take while you're here and provides free or discounted admission to loads of museums. For example, the Swiss Travel Pass could save you 65 francs total if you visit Chateau de Chillon, the Olympic Museum, Caillere Chocolate Factory, and Gruyere Cheese Factory. If you will have the Swiss Travel Pass, make note that it only provides a 50% discount on a portion of the journey to Rochers-de-Naye. And don't forget to consider that the Riviera card offers free local transport, so you may not get the full value out of your Swiss Travel Pass for the days you're here, depending on your plans.
I feel like we should also tell you that there is a train pass for this region called the Lake Geneva Alps Pass, but most of you won't want to buy this pass. And here's why. It combines 2 to 3 days of unlimited travel and 3 to 4 days of merely discounted travel. Although plenty of the routes on those unlimited days are still only discounted, making it pretty confusing and inconvenient to use. You could theoretically make an itinerary to maximize this complex pass, but truthfully, the majority of you will be better off by just having a Swiss Travel Pass or the half fare card plus the Riviera card.
But if you want to take the guesswork out of constructing an itinerary, finding out what's actually worth your time, or picking the best train passes for your trip, be sure to check out our Montreux and Swiss Riviera travel guide or watch this next, and we'll see you in Switzerland.